Harihi Om. Shri Gurubhyo Namaha. Harihi Om.
Sri Jay Lakhani, an excellent communicator of Hinduism in Britain and director of the Hindu Academy, the Vivekananda Centre in London. Over the last 15 years, Sri Lakhani has given talks on Hinduism to thousands of youngsters at English schools, colleges and universities. If you wish to get a glimpse of the modern, dynamic face of Hinduism, then do not miss this series of talks.
And welcome to yet another broadcast from the Hindu Academy team. My name is Nishit Kochak. I'm here with Jay Lakhani, and the rest of the team from Hindu Academy. We've got Manish Bhai, Sita, we've got Keval, and we are ready and eager to get started with the broadcast for today. So the way it normally works is we have a live session, which is a question and answer session. You're welcome to join us on Facebook. You can join us on YouTube. And the place to watch us is on youtube.com/Hindu Academy, or you can go to facebook.com/Hindu Academy. So without further ado, let me bring on Jay Lakhani. Jay, welcome to today's broadcast.
Thank you. As you can see, I'm still struggling with my hairdresser. I can't go to the hairdresser because of COVID.
Brilliant. So it's nice to see you on the broadcast today. I'm looking forward to seeing what questions people are having, burning questions they've got about Hinduism. And without any further delay, let's go over to the first set of questions, and I'll bring upon Sita to help us get started. Sita, welcome.
Hello, thank you. So the first question that we have is, we just wanted to ask you about the WhatsApp work that you are doing. If you can explain to the viewers what the work involves and what you're doing.
Indeed, yes. First of all, let me tell you about the range of different kind of platforms we are using to promote our ideas. We're using Facebook, huge following. We're using YouTube, even bigger following. We are using WhatsApp, we are using Twitter. So using all the platforms, social media platforms, to make sure these potent ideas we possess get through into the system. Now I'm getting some very interesting response regarding our WhatsApp material. People who are well-meaning tell Mr. Lakhani, when you send WhatsApp clips, it blocks up my mobile phone. Why don't you just send us a URL? It's easier. The reason is this: please bear in mind what I'm telling you now is very important. Out of all the social media platforms, WhatsApp is the most potent one, because if I send you a URL link, maybe you can send it to one or two people and it disappear. But when I send you a WhatsApp, little video clip with a wonderful kind of, thumbnail right at the start, so you want to see what the heck is going on, then that particular activity becomes much more kind of attractive. Not only that, one of the biggest advantage of WhatsApp is you can share it with 100,000, 10,000, 100,000 people. So if you wanted our material to become really go viral, then WhatsApp is the best material, best way of doing it. That is, we're concentrating a lot on the WhatsApp, and we're very fortunate to have somebody called Jai Shank, who's producing fantastic thumbnails with the music, which is highly attractive. So people are straight away attracted to switch on, click it, and see what's going on. So WhatsApp has been our major kind of contribution. Now, the reason why the WhatsApp is perhaps more important is this. Because of WhatsApp, people somehow say, Ms. Lakhani, why don't you put dub it? Because your drawback seems to be English. You can't speak the language is Hindi. So why don't you do dubbing? And we had a very strong South Indian corporation who are so keen on our work. They in fact engaged a whole team to try and convert our English videos dub them into Hindi and Tamil. And they spent a lot of money. But when you look at the result, it doesn't work. It doesn't work, because from English to Hindi, when you try and do word for word translation, the meaning is lost completely. So we spent a lot of money and it was wasted. So we said dubbing doesn't work. So if you say, what is your drawback? Language. So all our team, Hindu Academy team, has been born and brought up outside India. So our languages are just English and Gujarati. We are fluent in Gujarati, fluent in English, but our knowledge of Hindi is very poor. So if we try and even attempt Hindi, it look very gobbledygook. It won't look nice. So we are stuck with this, our drawback. So we tried dubbing, didn't work. We tried subtitles. We thought maybe subtitles in Hindi will work. By the time somebody reads the subtitles on the little WhatsApp clip, it's gone. The material is gone. So it didn't work either. So even though there are a lot of well-meaning people advising us to do dubbing and subtitles, it doesn't work. Main thing I need to tell our viewers is this: if you like the work we do, if you like the material we are promoting, then please participate in the process of WhatsApp, because all of you have got 100 links, and your 100 links will have another 100 links. So if you just make sure this material becomes viral, and the material is potent, it's not me, it's coming from Swami Vivekananda. So if you feel the material is potent, it will travel, it will really, you can't kill it. So WhatsApp keeps multiplying unless everybody deletes it, it's already in the system. So if you want to help us, then continue to share our WhatsApp clip. Yeah, we have a huge, kind of storehouse of clips on our YouTube channel called Hindu Academy. And one of the best things about Hindu Academy YouTube channel is you can go on the link says videos, and there is a search on the right-hand side. And you put any word you like, say, law of karma, whatever, you'll get not one, but 20 clips. So you can happily look through all these particular clips, etc., really enhance your knowledge. But for WhatsApp to really enter the system, please help us share our WhatsApp clips. Thank you very much.
Thank you. And we hope that this WhatsApp project keeps continuing to expand. We've got one interesting question from one of our viewers. It says that I am a neuroscience aspirant and also getting interested in quantum slowly. How can I start to train myself to focus on the non-material aspects of science, which you talk about?
Yes, indeed. In fact, one of the best places to start your spiritual journey in this day and age is not reading ancient scriptures. Suppose you read up all the ancient scriptures, the Vedas, I'm telling you, I've done it, or even the Upanishads, there's limitation to what you can achieve. The best place where you've got the biggest breakthrough in modern times is the modern science of today that allows us to get a deeper glimpse regarding nature of reality. For example, in physics, it's like a major black hole. They're saying that the world that you're so sure about, empirical world that Richard Dawkins and everybody is so sure about, is really an appearance, says quantum physics. So it's not something that we're just making it up, or because Adi Shankara said it, or Vivekananda said it. It is now visible in modern science. So if you are serious, you can start your journey by looking at not just the quantum mechanics equations that'll give you a headache, but look at what it is suggesting, that there is a deeper reality which is essentially mathematical rather than material, and that appears in the material world. How it flips into a material world, nobody seems to know. And at the same time, it is the most dynamic, most incredible kind of breakthrough that modern physics has produced. So by just looking at the way this world is flips from mathematical to becoming material world, is visible in quantum physics. So don't get caught up with all the equations. I've done that. It's tiring. They're very powerful. They're good, but it basically is reflecting a deeper dimension to reality, which is essentially non-material. And that will give a tremendous, first-time feel. What we have been talking about for thousands of years about a deeper dimension is becoming visible through the integrity of science itself. That's one area. The second area is, again, there are lots of different areas now which are now reflecting a deeper dimension. I'll just touch on some of this. The second dimension is, of course, the neuroscience area, where the issue of consciousness has never been tackled. Despite all this kind of hoo-ha by Daniel Dennett, etc., they have not really understood what is the nature of consciousness. I had some interaction with Susan Greenfield, who is one of the top neuroscientists at Cambridge University, and she said, Mr. Lakhani, we don't know which slice of the brain produces consciousness. It doesn't seem to come out of any slice of the brain, so it's not a brain phenomena. And yet it's there. It gives us access to reality. We have no clue what we are talking about. So again, you see, through the integrity of science, of neuroscience, we are discovering a deeper dimension to reality, which appears through us as consciousness. And it appears like a casual thing. It's not casual, it's very dramatic. So through both, they say, neuroscience and physical science, we are finding a deeper dimension. This is the most thrilling part you can get. Forget about ancient Upanishads. This is the most thrilling part you can engage with, to relate to spirituality in this day and age. And I'm telling you this, huge number of youngsters today, not necessarily Hindus, are searching for deeper dimension. And they tried all weird stuff. But in no time, it is the integrity of science which will catch their attention. And then they will immediately link up with what I'm saying. And what I'm saying now appears like a bit outlandish, but it will become mainstream. That this is the real proof there is something deeper regarding us and the world we encounter. So what you are suggesting is perfectly fine. I'll just touch on one or two other things which are also equally very dramatic. The next one is, for example, the idea of this cosmological universe. The universe is expanding, it continues to expand faster and faster and faster. What is that? This is called dark energy. So dark energy, what is this? Some Star Wars stuff? No. Dark energy means the knowledge of science is zero. Now that doesn't mean because science doesn't know, that means we are one and it's all spiritual. But this shows there is a deeper something operating underpinning this universe, which has not been addressed. And 90% of the dark energy is something we have no clue about. And that is making the whole universe stretch out. So again, there's something to explore. I'm not saying it proves anything like God or spirituality. So there are lots of areas where we find that the science of today holds the key of how humanity can embrace spirituality once more. Thank you, Sita.
Great. Thank you, Dilip Bhai. More ethical question now. What is the Hindu take on adultery?
Yes. Look, we are first of all, we must recognize we are an ongoing phenomena. We are a living tradition. So a lot of rules and laws that we adopt are always transitory. They are never fixed. We are not a prescriptive religion. So sometimes we may say, oh, one man, one woman. Sometimes we may say one man, two women. Sometimes we may say one woman, two husbands. So the reason is the different circumstances will dictate how we address the issue of ethics and morality. And we are open to that. Some of the traditions are fixed. It's been written up in the book. God is the word of God. Thankfully, we don't have that. There are some nuts in our own group who say, yes, this is all written up. We are not like that. We see we are a living tradition. And even the philosophic ideas we possess are open to kind of reinterpretation and modern interpretation. We are not frightened by it. We love it. We engage with it, just like I mentioned in physics and neuroscience. So we are a living tradition. So even these ethical issues, etc., we should take it take the changing circumstances, changing social situation into address. Is it good to have adultery? Let's be very frank. Suppose there's a nice loyal partnership between a couple. I can't even say man and woman now. It can just be man and man or woman and woman. So there's a loyal relationship there, trusting, tremendous kind of oneness with each other, and tremendous kind of affinity for each other. Now, if for some reason one of the partners does the mischief and kind of starts becoming waylaid, is it good for the other person? Just ask. What about if there are children? Is it good for the children? So just taking into account this particular aspect, you have to say it cannot be good for the couple or for the children. So for that simple reason, we say it is not advisable unless you have a very steady relationship with your partner. Don't divulge into this kind of weird issues that if somebody fancied somebody else and you decided to carry on with adultery. So that is a very commonsensical advice. There's no spiritual underpinning saying, oh, you're a horrible monster. But say, take care.
Great, thank you. Next question is, who is more supreme in Hinduism, Hari or Hara?
Go back to the old one. First of all, as I said, Hinduism didn't start with either Hari or Hara. They are both. They are later productions. It's like we are living, evolving tradition. We started with the idea of what is underpinning to reality? What is underpinning to ourselves? That's the search. Who the heck are we? What is the nature of this world that we encounter? Nature of reality. That's how we started. And we were successful. Other traditions, none of the other philosophers were successful, but we were successful in sussing it out. I mean, we'd say the Greeks, they stopped with the mind as the ultimate reality. But with us, no, we went deeper. Not the body, not the mind, not the ego, not the intellect. What the heck is it? And we discovered two major phenomena. This is not just intellectual, it is experiential. And I'm telling you personally from my experience, if it was not experiential for me, I would not be wasting my time. It has to be experiential. There's something great and grand in a way percolating through this frame, and that we discovered thousands of years ago. And that is the beginning of real Hinduism. So we found that it was possible for Hinduism to prosper by just focusing on these two phenomena, our essential nature as Atman, that's the word we use, or the essential nature of the universe as Brahman. And these are two, I mean, the exact pronunciation, Brahma and Atma, but then in English we don't put an end at the end. So this is the way Hinduism actually started, and it prospered. This is the foundation, the esoteric, philosophic, throbbing heart of Hinduism. And all the Upanishads focuses on these two, Atma, Brahma, no Hari, Hara there. And this is how we started. And the journey went very well, but the biggest problem is this. Even today, look, we are doing all this hard work. How many people do you think are attracted to listening to all these ideas about the deeper vision of who we are? Less than 1%. 99% of humanity is busy with their own day-to-day living and how somebody can help them get more money or get more, suck out more pleasure in life. So they're all busy with their own this little gimmicky stuff or kind of waffly stuff they live in, and they don't take interest. They can't focus with it because it's very difficult to engage with. So 99% of humanity is just too busy with just eking out a living and surviving and looking at the family. Nothing wrong. So for 99%, these ideas are too subtle, too floaty to engage with. So even though we started with this idea of Atma Brahman, it was struggling to kind of continue. And then we went through a period where we said it is necessary to kind of, in a way, polarize this idea of spirituality into super personalities. And this is where we begin to see this word Hari and Hara. Now, Hari is, of course, reserved for Vishnu. In the Vedic scripture, Vishnu was just a younger brother of Indra, so a very minor tiddler. But then later on, somehow he's gathered great momentum by the public. I think I would blame, if you like, or thank Ramanujacharya for making Vishnu an important character. So he said, in order for you to engage with the ideas of Atman and Brahma, etc., let us focus on a personality that we can engage with. Because personality you can engage with. So you can say, okay, you see this thing, the two of Atman and Brahman, Parabrahman and all that. You think of him as a super personality called Hari, the one who attracts. They made him look at him with the four arms and all this wonderful, colorful imagery and so on. And there's attractive for human beings, that is very important. So this idea of Atman and Brahman suddenly turned into Hari, and one who attracts, and Vishnu became the major participant in the process. So Hari is name given to Vishnu. Hari means the one who attracts. And then there was another movement, because we love variation. We are a pluralistic tradition. There's not a variation. The other variation was of, okay, Hari is fine, but it can show you personality. Let's think about Hara, somebody who's not bothered about externals. And then the idea of Shiva became very visible. Again, in the Vedic scripture, the idea of Shiva was Rudra, a kind of violent, fiery personality, but then suddenly turned into a very, very endearing personality called Shiva. I love Shiva, of course. And Shiva basically says, it comes from the word Harati, one who discards the externals, who's not bothered about showmanship, forearms, and wearing all these ornaments, just wearing some kind of ash on his body and sits in deep meditation regarding himself. So again, the same idea is focusing on Atman and Brahman. But in order to engage with that, let's turn him into a personality. So they turned this idea of Atman and Brahman into the second major personality called Hara. Hara from Harati means one who doesn't bother with externals. And you can see the Shiva tradition is not bothered about liturgy, complicated liturgy, not bothered about all this external showmanship. And that is why we got this two particular vision. So if you say which is better, the one that suits you is the best, my friend. Suppose you love the external Razmatas, and Vishnu is very good at that. And all the Vishnu avatars are very good at that. So you focus on Hari and Ram and Krishna, and wonderful. They're wonderful, attractive person. You see, for a common man to engage with religion, this was the only way. So we had all this Hari and Hara and all these various kind of variations. And of course, don't forget Mother Goddess. So she was the third one that we polarized. The idea of ultimate reality, the female, not male. So these are the three major ways we personified the idea of spirit or Atman and Brahman to make it attractive, digestible, accessible. So if I tell anybody, this is the day when Krishna was born, Janmashtami, let's celebrate. Oh, this is Shivaratri. So that is how, or this is Navratri. So this is how an ordinary person can engage with spirituality, is to turn the idea of spirituality into super personalities and engage with them. You may think this is still artificial. It's not really artificial, it works. When you turn this great principles into personalities, they in a way become engaging and catch your attention. So when you start building relationship with Hari or Hara or Mother Goddess, in a way it really starts in a way churning you from inside and beginning to relate to this idea of Atman Brahman in a very natural manner. And this is how you progress spiritually, by focusing on these super personalities to make spiritual progress. They're not a minor thing. So don't underestimate, even though I love to call Atman Brahman, 99%, I would say 99.9% run away. When you talk about, oh, Hari, Harati, Hari, Hara, or Mataji, or whatever, people say, yes, this is now sensible stuff here. It makes sense now. And then the same idea that you see as Atman Brahman are promoted indirectly using these great super personalities. I'll give an example. For example, the Shiva tradition. The height of Shiva tradition is, you can say, Shivoham, Shivoham. Shivoham means essentially my nature is Shiva. See what you've done? You transited from the idea of worshipping Shiva to recognizing your true nature as Shiva, as Atman. So this is how the link begins to show up and becomes very viable and engaging, and it actually produces spiritual people. There's a majority of people in Hinduism today have been attracted to some of these personalities to progress, and so be it. Take some more questions.
That's a great answer, sir. Covering Atman and Brahman, and then the idea of personal gods. So, sir, idea of God, looking at as a God as a principle. You talked about, the gravity as a Lord gravity and how that can explain what happens. So my question is there a control maker? This entity has some is a nature is consciousness, bliss, and existence. Does it control the Brahman or the universe? Does it have any control mechanism? So when the Big Bang happened and things unfolded, is it controlling, or is it there is no control over it?
You see, this is again a very subtle question. You see, the whole idea of how this ultimate reality as Brahman appears as the creation we see in front of us is puzzling the quantum physicists as well, saying, how can something which is essentially mathematical turn into material reality? They would say, they say, we don't know. This is called the big problem of quantum physics, called the wave collapse problem. Same is true with Hinduism. We are not able to bypass this. So we simply say how this, what is Brahman appears as this cantorous world that we live in, how this is, what's the reason how this transition takes place? Is there some causal link, some link, as you say, some controlling factor? Zero. There's nothing. So the only word we said, we call it Maya. There's no way we can link up what is with what it appears as. So there's no link at all. The only thing is when this principle turns into reality, we say three things unfold. Again, this is very ancient idea and suitable for modern cosmology. They say when this ultimate reality appears as a creation, the three nearest words we can use to try and get a handle on it is that it is of the nature of existence, consciousness, and bliss. Again, we say it's of the nature of. We can't say it is that, but then straight away that the ultimate real is caught. So we use this kind of very kind of vague language to say it is of the nature of existence, consciousness, and bliss. You can't even say it is that. You can't say that. The only way you can verify this wonderful thing, as I said, and I keep repeating this, I would not be doing this unless it was something experiential for me, because I would not be so passionate about it. So this has to be experienced, this ultimate reality. And when you get a glimpse of it, my friend, all the fuses that you will blow and the hair will stand up as well. So be it. But this is the basis of our tradition, experiential religion.
That's a great answer, sir. Thank you for clarifying that. So staying with the similar theme, we consider Ram and Krishna as, historical figures. And then we had Ram Krishna who said, one who was Ram and Krishna before is now Ram Krishna. So, and Bhagavad Gita says this entity comes again and again to sort of balance dharma against adharma. So how do we link that with this control mechanism? Is there, why do they come and, do they exhibit some sort of control between a dharma and adharma?
In reality, if you notice, they always say in the Bhagavad Gita as well, that Krishna says, I use my power of Maya to manifest myself. So again, the same Maya appears. That means there's no causal link. When he will appear, how he will appear, or what he will do, when he will do it, he seems to be completely out of a causal link. They say, okay, look at the state of the world today. It's frightening, especially in India, people dying with this COVID. Yeah, where is your God now? So straight away, there is no linkage. If there was a linkage, okay, time for Krishna or Vishnu to reappear. Why isn't he appearing? You won't get the answer. So it remains like a mystery, if you like, not because we are avoiding it, because we use the word Maya to say how he appears, when he appears, why he appears, remains unknown. This is the best way we can say. And one other thing I must say, you see, I'm a great devotee of Sri Ramakrishna. And when Ramakrishna said, I am the same as, I said, how can this man be Ram or Krishna? Look at him, just with one piece of white clothes, dithering middle-aged man. Well, how can you compare himself with all that? And his disciple, chief disciple said, Avatar Varishtaya, better than the previous ones. I said, this is getting too much. For the ordinary Hindu, they can't swallow it. Because they expect all this Shankha, Chakra, Gada and all that. And this guy has nothing. Just one piece of white cloth that keeps falling off. So they can't relate to him, so be it. But this is how this Maya appears. How this same ultimate kind of takes on different forms, suited to the needs of the time. And when I look at the actual story of Sri Ramakrishna, what he has left behind, I see why he's Avatar Varishtaya. He is now addressing the issues the world faces. In the ancient days, we had Ram sorting out certain things in India, Krishna sorting things out in India. This one has come with a universal message. And these are very powerful ideas at the heart of modern, contemporary vision of Hinduism. Most Hindus can't relate to it. They want all this Shankha, Chakra, Gada and magic and miracle. He'll give you nothing. See, broken that mold. So if people say, oh, we want to believe in Krishna, and when we do this particular ceremony, he will give us this boon or something. If the Ramakrishna says, go away, nothing coming. Just come to me if you want to know the ultimate reality. I will not give you any health or wealth or anything. This is the sign of a modern giant, spiritual giant, who's breaking the mold. And the message he gives is really universal. And then I'm not exaggerating because I love him. You see, this is the only message that will now work for the next few hundred years. Because the only way people of many different religions can coexist and dignify each other rather than undermine each other is through this message that spirituality can be acquired using many different pathways and different religions and even non-religious ways of making spiritual progress. This tremendous idea of plurality came with Ramakrishna. Nobody else in the history of humanity has come anywhere near that. Second thing we see is this idea of refocusing attention. He said, we got caught up with this Hari and Hara and Mother Goddess and now worshipping, and nothing wrong because that's the best we could progress. But now the message is saying, look, my friend, focus your attention on humanity, not this external God sitting in the heaven and controlling and cracking a whip. Focus on greater humanity struggling. If you can focus your attention and love humanity rather than these gods and goddesses, you'll do a better job. So again, this is a very relevant message for the world we live in. And most youngsters I come across prefer this idea of no God, but focusing on the important idea of humanity. Of course, we've got two versions of humanity. You've got the Richard Dawkins version, which is saying materialistic humanism. You are nothing more than extension of matter, Mr. Lakhani, just atoms. It's a horrible idea. It destroys my dignity. And then there's this idea that comes from Ramakrishna. The reason why humanity is important is because it's matter that got kind of caught up like this. Because something non-material is manipulating matter to manifest itself, and that we call Atman or Brahman. And that is, if you like, the transition now the world requires and the world will embrace.
Thank you, Jai-Bhai. Going to the live audience now. Question from Mary Floyd. She's a regular viewer from Texas. She would like to volunteer. So how can she do so?
Madam, I just did a big talk about promoting our WhatsApp material. That's the most potent material we possess. It's not me, it's the material that I'm presenting, which is very potent. And we try and give it nice thumbnail and music and keep it tidy and simple. But if you can help us, just promote the WhatsApp clips on all the platforms that you know, and ask your links to again share it with other people, you will do tremendous benefit to us. Because we are not looking for money, we are not an institution. We are saying, oh, we want to produce some magnanimous structures and big properties. We have no such interest. We have no financial motivation whatsoever, and our team doesn't have any personal motivation. All our team, the people that you hear about, are volunteers. So we have no other intention except promote these potent ideas worldwide. And I think we are succeeding in our own little way. And if you can help us do this, that would be the greatest service you can provide.
Thank you. One more question from Bharat Patel. He's from Florida. So the idea of reincarnation as soul migrating from one body to another, do the souls actually get created or destroyed? And are there a fixed number of souls in the universe?
Good. You see, the thing is this journey started, as I told, one of the BBC presenter, Nicky Campbell, about 3.5 billion years ago. This is still a mystery how single cell appeared on Earth. They can't do it artificially. That's we call the beginning of life. And then it started splitting up, then recombining with itself and producing much more complex beings. So this is how it started. You see there any soul there? There's no individuality there. It's like protoplasm, just kind of, stuff kind of bubbling up. But then as it became more complex, say into the animal kingdom especially, it begins to develop some kind of individuality, because it's got certain likings, certain dislikings, so it begins to develop a character for itself. And when that happens, you can say it's now it's no longer a protoplasm, it has got some individuality, and that we call Jivatman, a kind of encapsulated spirit. But now it has got individuality, so we call it Jivatman. And how many Jivatman has been multiplying in trillions of animals, trillions. So it has really expanded into a huge number of souls. It's not that there's one soul created at the start. What appeared like it's just a protoplasm suddenly it started to develop individuality, and that becomes more encased with animal kingdom and the human kingdom. And that becomes, if you like, there's individual souls. Can you say what is the total number? No idea. It keeps increasing because then again, some more multiply, join up, produce another individual. Says, oh, I'm this, I like this, I don't like to eat grass, I like to eat meat. So that individuality then becomes you can call it a soul. The word is soul is not the same as Atman, it's Jivatman, spirit that appears to be captured in a particular mind and body frame. So this is how it appears. There are millions and trillions of them, and there are more to come. And people say, Mr. Lakhani, you believe in reincarnation? We started, the human race was only about 100, few thousand, Homo sapiens, a few, 100,000 years ago. Now we are 7 billion. Where did they come from? They're coming from the animal. They're rushing into the human kingdom. They love the human kingdom. And you can see a lot of human beings kind of in a way exhibiting very animalistic qualities. They've just been promoted from the animal to the human kingdom. So we smile, and so this is how they get rounded off on the human. They like to be in the human kingdom for a long time. They don't go anywhere else. So the population keeps growing, human kingdom. And it is not 7 billion, not enough, maybe 10 billion might appear. So it doesn't mean they are creating new souls. A lot of souls that are already very keen to enter the human kingdom from the animal kingdom are entering the human kingdom. And they will still be around. So this is, if you like, there's no one number of, now you can say so many souls started and this and that. This is just like something that become better momentum, become individualized, and continues to in a way, inhabit a human body.
That's a great answer, sir. Thank you for that. We got a question from Sanatani. He says, can we become a Hindu priest after a degree from Hindu Academy?
We wish you could. You see, I get such questions and saying, oh, I want to join this and I want to volunteer and try and becoming a priest. Look, priestcraft is sorry, I can't use the word priestcraft, people get very upset. You can become a priest means, kind of focus on the liturgy, how to carry out rituals, carry out the marriage ritual, the birth ceremony, etc. You can become, just by, focusing, there are so many different schools, Hindu schools, which will happily train you to become a priest. And nowadays, I'm so pleased to hear that there are people in India, women can become priests, Even people who are considerably lower caste can become priests now, thankfully. So we are moving very fast. We are evolving tradition. So you can become a priest using any of these movements that are already very popular. But we are unfortunately no good for that.
Okay, sir, Nisibhai seems busy, so I'll ask one more question. Brock Lesnar is asking, this question is bothering him for a long time. He's saying, are all the stories in our Hindu scriptures just metaphors and philosophical ideas, or are they real?
Okay, so always keep your feet firmly planted on the floor when you think about religion, including Hinduism, because you might think, oh, anything goes. Nothing like that. Now, again, there are two areas which really upset me are this. People who can't can't tell the scriptures of authority from scriptures of lower authority in Hinduism. Big problem. I get emails from people saying, oh, but this is written in the Garuda Puran. I say, go away then. And then somebody was saying, oh, but then in one of the Muslims was asking me, oh, how did Brahma chase his daughter, Saraswati? What kind of horrible religion you are, incest? I said, my friend, this particular stuff comes from Puranic stories. Now, Puranic stories have to be made colorful. Sometimes this is not so good color for a father to be chasing after a daughter, but some of this kind of gets caught up. So we've got fantastic amount of Puranic stories. Take them with a large bag of salt, not just pinch of salt. Don't swallow it, otherwise you're in big trouble. And when other people point them out, it's written here, it's telling you Puran, go away. So be very rough and on that. So the scripture of authority are focusing on Atman and Brahman and stuff like that, philosophic stuff. And the scriptures of lower authority, especially the Puranic stuff, is really colorful, majestic, colorful literature. And I mean, the best Puran that I can perhaps relate to or kind of smile with is the Bhagavad Puran, because that's kind of reasonably well balanced. Some of the other Purans are not well balanced at all. Be careful, especially stuff like Bhavishya Puran and all that. Run away. Don't even bother to read it, I'm telling you, because they've been written up, but the thing is, they're just colorful narratives. So most of the stuff you get, are coming from the colorful narrative. Suppose somebody said, oh, Shiva chopped off his son's head, Ganesh, and then put an elephant head. And this is like a horror story. You can't say it's really true. No, it can't be literally true. Either Shiva has got it completely wrong, or he's a horrible monster to put an elephant head on his son. He could put a human head. So it doesn't make sense whatsoever. Just use your common sense to judge whether this is colorful narrative or it is literally true. So you are the best person to judge. But I must mention this. Some of the stories we get, say, from the Ramayana or the Mahabharata, we keep claiming that they've got historic foundation. There may be a lot of exaggeration that are crept into the stories. A lot of things have been removed deliberately because it doesn't sound right. But overall, they have historic foundation. So personality like Ram and Krishna, according to me, are historic grand masters. So I have tremendous love for them. But the other stuff that you get from other Puranic stuff, avoid it, my friend. Unless you are really keen on colorful narratives, then wallow in it and enjoy it and go to all the kathas and applaud and sing the glories and all that. But according to one other thing I must say, some of the Puranis, very intelligent. I can see they are very intelligent and very clever. None of them with the courtesy or the courage to say this can't be for real. There's one Puran saying, oh, this is where the Satya Yuga, and it was 1.3 million years long, and people lived for 100,000 years in there. And there is absolutely no evidence Homo sapiens lived for 100,000 years at a time in about 1.7 million years. So there's absolutely no archaeological evidence. And he's still plugging it in. So all these, some of these ideas that the Puranis keep plugging in without any hesitation, as if it's for real, kind of destroys the dignity of our tradition. They must know this is Puran, take it with a pinch of salt, use it, enjoy it, engage with it, but remember it is not literal. So again, who decides? I can only point a finger and say, look, the important thing is this. We are a living tradition, right? So it's not that you are fixated on some ancient, great personalities who lived 5,000 years ago. Other religions are fixed. We are not. So we are very fortunate. So we produce some modern spiritual giants. And I like some of these acharyas we have recent times, like Ramanujacharya, etc. And I like these ideas of modern prophets of Hinduism, like Ramana Maharshi or Vivekananda, etc., Ramakrishna. And if you just focus on their lives, so these are historic. And you can get the pictures, you can even get the videos of Ramana Maharshi. So focus on these kind of modern personalities that are real. There's no doubt about them. You can get full archaeological, full historic, the results regarding their life stories, where they lived, how they lived, what was the size of their house. Full information is available for more recent, great supreme personalities of Hinduism. So why do we fix it on ancient ones? Is that real or not real? Leave them alone. Focus on the ones who lived recently, then you know they're for real.
Jaybai, so are you okay to take on another 1 or 2 questions?
Yes, as you can see, I'm getting fitter day by day. Apart from the hair, I'm getting back to some kind of normality. Let's go for more.
So we have a question from Jats for YouTube, and he's asking, this issue about stars and being aligned in certain auspicious manner and so on. There's a lot of so-called religious people imply that it needs to be aligned in a certain manner. And is there any real truth in this?
Okay, Nishit, as I said, always, it's not my knowledge or my particular understanding. I'm asking every individual of your programs to use their own common sense to decide whether this can be for real. I mean, the thing that really offends me is this idea of astrology, that when you're born, the position of all the different planets will dictate your whole life. That takes away your dignity as a living thing. So I would say, if the floating rocks in the sky are going to dictate your future, run away, fight them. If it's true, fight them. This is a sign of the spirit. It doesn't like to be pushed about. So this is my take on it. And the worst thing is this. Then this astrology will suggest to you ways of overcoming the problems that you're going to face. And what are the things they say? Okay, on this day wear yellow clothes. Oh, don't do this and wear this kind of ring that I'm selling you, a silver ring or golden or whatever diamond, and wear it on this finger, and the Jupiter will stop bothering you, and Saturn will be the last thing to worry about. Now, I'm asking you, use your common sense. Little ring you wear with little, kind of diamond or whatever. Do you think that is going to affect Saturn wondering about, oh, yours is a good man, leave him alone? Come on, use your own common sense, not my common sense, your common sense. If it doesn't make sense to you, why do you accept stuff like that? We did do an experiment thousands of years ago where we did do some kind of correlation between the lives led by people and the stars or the position of planets they were born under. There was some correlation. This isn't exact science. There was some, you can always find some, if you have a lot of variables, you can find some correlation. And that turned into astrology. And we developed it very well. It has some selling points, but it's not exact science. So don't let it dictate your life.
Thank you, Jaybai, for answering that in such a clear manner, because you know as much as I do, I don't believe in these things. There's no particular science I see in it. And so that flies in the face of, the wind for me. It doesn't work. But we have another interesting question, which is, could you help explain what is the real meaning of Atma?
Oh, my friend, why do you throw this kind of bombshell at the end of the program? Atma, look, this is the thing. Any kind of mental exercise I give you to understand what is the nature of Atman will fail. It's guaranteed to fail. But why should it fail? You are such an intelligent man and you can use your intellect to capture the essence of Atman. You can't. This is the biggest problem. The word that I use as the spiritual underpinning to reality is our essential nature is Atman. Essential nature of the creation is Brahma. These two are very subtle things. The only way you can access them or come to terms with them or engage with them is first an experience. You say, but Mr. Lakhani, I can't have it. I know it's very difficult. Only 1 in a million perhaps succeed. But that is the only way you can kind of get an access to what is meant by Atman. Atma is basically simply saying your essential nature, which is Nirguna Nirakar. You see, we use qualification saying, I don't have a clue about how to describe it. Nirguna Nirakar, it has no shape, no attributes, no quality, no saying it's a goody-goody or it's nothing. So you say, well, how do I engage with this? This is the reason why I produce all the Hari and Hara and all these gods and goddesses, to engage with this idea. But that is our essential nature. And I can tell you again from my personal experience, it is not a floaty idea, it's very real. Now, when you touch base with it, you will know what this thing is all about. It is most dynamic, most exciting, because people say, oh, but Mr. Lakhani, when somebody was enlightened and had the knowledge of Atma, etc., it's basically just brain malfunctioning, some kind of short circuit in the brain. I said, no, my friend, if there is a short circuit, it will become still sparking or something. This is no short circuit. This is the way you kind of break free from all circuits of the brain. And this is, do you know what happens? Visit the universe as me as a subject making sense of the world. Use my 5 senses to make sense of the external world, subject, object. This is how we make sense of everything, including even say Atman. So how do I come to relate with it? And what are my 5 senses telling me what is Atman, Brahman? It doesn't work. The reason why it doesn't work is this. At the level of experience, this division that you already created between subject and object disappears. There's no linkage, there's no language. It's just the subject-object division. I'm telling you from experience. In the beginning, you think, oh, looking at Atma, this is the light. And suddenly you say, I am the light. Wee! So that subject-object division disappears. And that is the foundation of experiential Hinduism. That is the root of all our speciality. No other religion comes anywhere near it. And yet we are so poor at grasping it. We get caught up by all these colorful narratives and bhajans and kathas. I don't blame you, but that is okay, but you need the deeper ideas.
Sorry. Thank you, Jaybai, for sharing that. And I'm sure there are so many people who are watching us and they're wondering, they want a little bit of that experiential, that knowledge of experiencing this touch with the higher self. So with that, I want to come to the end of the call for today. But I want to ask you something. So, we talk about humans, and with humans, there comes ego. There's always the me. And today we've seen something, we're in a time of coronavirus. 36 million people have been affected worldwide. 24 million have recovered. 1 million have sadly passed away. It is what we call a great leveler. No matter if you're the poorest person or the richest person or somebody in a position of power or not. It doesn't care. So in a time like this, what would you give us advice on in the best way to conduct yourself? Because we want to remove ourselves from the ego and have a higher purpose in life. What shall we do, seeing that in the grand scheme of things, we are all equal?
Wonderful, wonderful observation. As you found, that the President of the United States is also struggling. So it's a wonderful observation. Anyway, it's a great equalizer, if I can say that. So in a way, it removes all these kind of ups and downs regarding your upper or lower or whatever. So this is an equalizer. How do we take advantage of this? It has rattled the whole world in no uncertain terms, that we are in a different world altogether now. So one thing we can take advantage of is saying that it is rattling us, saying that all this kind of physicality that you kind of fixated on, oh, I got my property and house and this, suddenly everything appears like so fickle. It appears surreal. The world appears surreal. So in a way, the only thing we can say is that it will stir you up to think there's something deeper we are missing. So this idea of the world is becoming surreal and becoming difficult to grasp, difficult to understand, kind of destroying all this kind of individuality in a way perhaps allows us to think of something deeper. This is the advantage we can take. It's not easy, especially if you're suffering. How can you think of something higher? But this is the way you need to tackle it. Thank you, Nishit Bhai, and thank you all our team for a wonderful session today.
Thank you, everybody. So I'd just like to, bring on the Hindu Academy team. We've got Manish Bhai, Keval, and Jay and myself. Rita has just stepped away for the moment. But these are the few people who are on the front of the scenes. Of course, there are others behind the scenes doing their great work as well. So thank you all for joining us today on the broadcast. And I would like to end with one quote from Swami Vivekananda. And basically this says, arise, awake, and stop not until the goal is reached. So with that, thank you, everybody. And we will see you next week on Saturday, 2 o'clock UK time. Bye-bye.
Om Harihi Om Shri Gurubhyo Namaha Harihi Om